Hey, shalom, shalom, akim wa akwaf, shalom, yasha. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi, Kwadash. Double honors to my apostles and elders at Great Millstone, the men that taught me this truth through the Spirit. Peace and blessings to you, brothers, teaching this word in truth and sincerity. Peace and blessings to the rest of the believers and followers of Yahawah bahasham Yahawashi that's scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. All right. Today's lesson is suffer not like an evildoer, learn to diffuse and avoid. Right. And what inspired this lesson is recent events where, brothers might go out in certain environments and they start drinking and then things get out of control. Things go left. Or there's certain scenarios you dealing with unbelievers or niggas in the world, or you're dealing with co-workers and bosses, and then things go left, right? And Jake just be hulking out, you know. They're not applying the scriptures, they're not applying wisdom, they're just reacting strictly off of their emotions, which us being servants of Yahawah bahasham Yahawashi and wielders of this wisdom and this light, we are not supposed to conduct or act in such manners. And I used the analogy of the Incredible Hulk because it was the same thing. As soon as things started to inflict Bruce Banner or whatever he got into his emotions, or he got angry or excited, he transformed into the Incredible Hulk. And then wisdom went out the window, logic and reasoning went out the window because emotions took over, anger took over. So it says, I've got to fight. Mustn't let it happen. Not now, not again. Too late. Can't resist anymore. And why should I? It says, and why should I want to be the weak, powerless Bruce Banner when I could be the invincible and Hulk instead, right? So you lose control. Whatever case and scenario applies and fits to your life, use it, right? Whether you going out, you at a barbecue, you at a bar, you at a family event, right? And then you dealing with unbelievers, and then you lose control. Then the next thing you know, you fighting, right? Or you trying to deal with women, hollering at women, and next thing you know, you fighting. Or you dealing with your co-workers, or you dealing with your bosses, or just any unbelievers, right? And next thing you know, things just go left, right? Because scriptures are not being applied and your feelings are being applied, right? And it must not be so. Now, yes, easier said than done, but at the same time, this is the battle. This is the fight. To deny yourself, to deny your flesh, and to glorify Yahawah bahasham Yahawashi, right? So we must learn to defuse, right? Salakia. We must learn to defuse. It says remove the fuse from an explosive device in order to prevent it from exploding. We must learn, right, to unplug certain bombs before they explode. We have to avoid certain situations and circumstances by being proactive versus being reactive, like my brother Lamont likes to say, right? It says reduce the danger or tension in a difficult situation. right? Which all goes back to the scriptures, and Lord's will, we're going to get into it. It says we must reduce the danger or tension in a difficult situation. And the scriptures gives us the application. It gives us the tools. It gives us the equipment to deal with any life situation. There's not one case or one situation in life that the scriptures doesn't apply to. There's a scripture for every situation, right? That's why you got to go over the scriptures constantly so you can apply the scriptures. Because when you don't study to show yourself approved, or you don't read to be blessed, you do not apply the rules or the fundamental principles of the scriptures, but you apply what you learned from this world, which is sin, evil, and wickedness, darkness, carnality, which carnality leads to death. It says reduce, lessen, diminish, lighten, relieve, ease, alleviate, allay, moderate, mitigate, take the edge off, clear the air, right? The opposite is heighten, intensify. We are not supposed to heighten or intensify situations when we are walking in this world, right? We are supposed to defuse and avoid to the best of your ability. Now, I'm not saying you let somebody put their hands on you, right? But sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, right? Well, the scriptures say that the word can, the tongue is a two-edged sword, right? But in the same breath, you use that eat on me, right? Who gives a fuck what anybody has to say? Who cares about people's opinions, or who cares with, arguments or disbelief? Who cares? Right? You should know better because you was given this wisdom and they wasn't. So it says, what does diffusing a situation mean? Can't even look it up. It says, if you diffuse a dangerous or tense situation, you calm it, right? You make a situation calm. You don't intensify situations. We make a situation calm, right? To the best of our ability. How do you diffuse conflict? So here are some invaluable tips to help you manage that difficult conflict. Stay calm and observe. Listen and carefully to determine needs. Use empathy. These are all different scenarios and different situations and different circumstances where you could apply these different rules. Which, once again, in Lord's will, we're going to get into it. These rules all goes back to the scriptures. All the fundamental things of life goes back to the scripture. All the principles goes back to the scriptures. When you hear all these memes and quotes and philosophers, it all goes back to the scriptures. It all can be found in in the Bible. It says you use empathy and be responsive. Find common ground, agree, point, or share vision. Focus on facts, tasks, priorities, not emotions. Right? I know easier said than done, right? I know different situations call for different emotions and responses, but we still have to apply the scriptures no matter the weather. It says stick to rules and set boundaries. Let's get into it. Suffer not as an evildoer. It's a subtopic that I want to touch on first. Because we are not to suffer, right, as an unbeliever. We are not supposed to be going through things like an unbeliever is supposed to be going to. And what do I mean by that? You are not supposed to be finding yourself in nigga moments. A nigga stepped on my shoe, you fighting for that. A nigga spilled his drink on you, and you fighting for that. A nigga talking shit, and you fighting for that. A nigga look at you sideways, and you fighting for that. We're not supposed to find ourselves in nigga moments, because we're not niggas. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 15. But let none of you suffer as a murderer, or as a thief, or as an evildoer, or as a busybody in other men's matters. If you suffer, however, it must not be for murder, stealing, making trouble, or prying into other people's affairs. Because what happens with murderers? They get locked up, or they get murdered themselves. What happens to a thief? A thief gets locked up, or he gets murdered, get caught in the act of stealing. What happens to an evildoer, a person that makes trouble? You find yourself in trouble, or you find yourself looking for trouble, you're going to get trouble, right? You find yourself trying to do something to somebody, something's going to get done to you. Or as a busybody in other men's matters. Nobody likes a person that's a nosy person, right? You always want to scoop in the insides and all. Nobody likes that type of person. Once people find those type of people out, people don't give them no more information because you don't really care to help people or to give solutions, but you rather just want to know just to know, right? Yet if any man suffer as a Christian, which a Christian is a believer or the follower of the Messiah, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify the Most High on this behalf. All right. 1 second. This is 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 17. It is better, if the will of the Most High be so, that ye suffer for well-doing than for evil-doing, right? For it is better, if the will of the Most High be so, that ye suffer for well-doing than for evil-doing. So we don't want to find ourselves in nigga moments, like I said earlier. We don't want to find ourselves in situations where now you can't make it to camp, right? We don't want to find ourselves in situations where you're locked up. We don't want to find ourselves in situations where, because you got into a scuffle or fight, now you're unable to teach because you have to heal, right? How is the church edified by that? How is the sheep and the lambs of the Lord fed by you being in jail or you healing from a fight and a scuffle? So it says, for it is better if the will of the Most High be so that ye suffer for well-doing. If you want to suffer, right, suffer for righteousness' sake, right? Because the persecution is coming. It's prophesied that we will be persecuted for believing in the Most High and His Son, right? For just strictly believing upon them and not conforming to the ways of this world. That's something to glorify and to be appreciative and thankful and glorified about. Not suffering just because you was in a nigga moment. Because you couldn't handle your liquor. Because you couldn't diffuse a situation. Because you couldn't avoid a situation. This nigga was asking for it. This nigga was being persistent. He was being a demon. Right? Did not the Lord show us how to combat Satan? Did not the Lord show us or give us power to deal with demons? It says, remember, it is better to suffer for doing good. If that is what the Most High wants, than to suffer for doing wrong. Nah, that was it on that. All right, now to get into the topic. This is James chapter 1, verse 19. It says the subject matter is listening and doing. It says, wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. Right? Let's look up this word, wrath. I hate when it does that.
Strong's G 3709. Argay.
Or gay, right? Which sounds like org, right? Anger, natural disposition, temper, right? We got to be slow to temper, slow to impulse, slow to desire, slow to any violent emotion, but especially anger, wrath, indignation. We got to be slow to anger and exhibit in punishment, hence the use for punishment itself. We have to be slow of punishment inflicted by magistrates, right? So we got to be slow to getting pissed the hell off. We got to be slow to being triggered. We got to be slow in reacting in regards to carnality, right? It says, for the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of the Most High. Human anger does not produce the righteousness of Yahawah's desires, right? Because what edification or what benefit does the church and the sheep get from you fucking somebody up, right? Yeah, and it might have felt good, you know? Hell yeah, it feels good to kick somebody's ass, to mop the floor with somebody, to get some of this pent up frustration that we got off our chest, right? But how is the Most High glorified? How is the Son glorified? How is the Word glorified? How is the church fed? How is the church edified? They're not. It was all your belly, right? It was all the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, right? It says, for the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of the Most High. Wherefore lay apart all filthiness and superfluity of naughtiness, and receive with meekness the engrafted word, which is able to save your souls. So, guess what? Sometimes you just gotta take the L, man. Now, I don't mean get your ass kicked. I mean just avoid the situation. You gotta be the sucker. You gotta be the punk. You gotta be the loser, right? It's just something you gotta deal with, because this is not your rest. This is not your world. You wasn't sitting here to get victories in these minute, peasant, mortal battles. The war, we're gonna win. We're playing or fighting to win the war. Not these little, oh, I'm better than you, I can kick your ass, you won't even harm me, I'll fuck you up, nigga, you know, I'll knock you the fuck out. We're not, the Lord didn't set us here for that, right? The prophets were sent here to take the brunt of the world's bullshit, right? For when the Lord returns to say, we told you so, when they're dying, right? Because vengeance belongeth unto the Lord. The Lord takes patience. He takes pleasure. And when we suffer wrongfully, when we take the L's, when we resist kicking people's asses. The Lord takes pleasure in that, man. One second. This is the book of Colossians, chapter 3, verse 8. But now ye also put off all these: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communications out of your mouth. But now is the time to get rid of anger, rage, malice, malicious behavior, slander, and dirty language, right? We got to cast that shit away, man, because that is not fruitful in the church. That's not fruitful in the body of Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi, right? That's all that black culture, egotistical, ain't nobody going to do this to me, and ain't nobody going to say whatever, do whatever they want, say whatever they want. Yes, the fuck they can. This is their world, right? Literally, this is their fucking world. This is their time to be as wicked as they can be, because this is the end of the age of the wicked, right? So you're not going to find any type of decency amongst undecent people, unbelieving people, people that doesn't have the fear of the Lord. So it says, but now ye also put off all these. So we're supposed to put these things off, right? Because it doesn't contribute towards the body or the church or the sheep. Anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communication out of your mouth. Filthy communication meaning other philosophies, right? Things, worldly talk, right? All this worldly gossip, drama, bullshit, right? Got to get rid of that, right? Lie not one to another, seeing that ye have put off the old man with his deeds. So all this, brothers not telling whole stories, giving half-truths, or only painting a picture that doesn't incriminate them. We're not supposed to lie to one another, seeing that ye have put off the old man with his deeds. See, another thing in this truth, you're going to be vulnerable. You're not going to be perfect. You're not going to have everything down packed. You're not always going to say the right things, right? But you're learning to be a better man, a better servant of the Lord, a better brother, right? A better brother's keeper. You're learning to do these things, right? And we ain't going to have it down packed until Yahawashi gives us the bodies to have it down packed. But until Yahawashi comes, we're going to continue to offend one another. We're going to continue to break the laws. We're going to continue to slip and fuck up, right? You're going to continue to not be on fire like you usually are, right? Until Yahawashi comes. But that don't give the righteousness to sin, right? The liberty to sin. You still got to do what you got to do to the best of your ability. Who cares if you get triggered easily? Who cares if, you can kick people's ass? You could tear a nigga apart in a couple of seconds. You ain't got to have a long, drawn-out fight. Who cares? Because this ain't about us. We are here to glorify Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi. And to feed the elect. This is Ephesians chapter 4, verse 31. It says, let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. So it's repeated all throughout the epistles, all throughout the scriptures, because the things that are written aforetime are written for our learning. Everything that's in the old, translated into the new, translated into our times. It still applies. because there's no time period where the scriptures does not apply. There's a scripture that does not apply. It says, and be ye kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as the Most High, for Mashiach's sake, have forgiven you. Right? So we're supposed to have some type of empathy, sympathy for the brotherhood, man. For the believers. You know, you got to give brothers a chance. Just like you wanted a chance. Right? Like you want forgiveness when you fuck up or you not on point. You got to have that same courtesy for the new believers. Right? For all brothers. Proverbs chapter 26, verse 21. As coals are to burning coals and wood to fire, so is contentious man to kindle strife. It says a quarrelsome person starts fights as easily as hot embers light coals or fire lights woods. So that's how easy it is for a warrior to get triggered, right? As easy as fire lights wood or coal heats up. That's how easy it is for an angry person to fight, right? But let's see what the scriptures say. Even if that's so, right? Say that's your personality. You know, you did all this training, or you went to be a soldier, you know, whatever the case may be, or you've been training your whole life, and you got the skills to fuck people up, right? But being a born again person, where does those skills translate into? A spiritual warrior. You're no longer, even though you still have the ability to, you know, bust a fruit in a fruit fight, right? Even though you can, you know, tear somebody up like a wet paper bag, you could do a number on somebody, right? Now, being a born again person, you have to translate that into being a spiritual warrior. So now you got to learn how to defuse situations. Now, because isn't that the point of fighting? Learning, isn't that the point of learning how to fight? Is not to fight? The purpose to learn how to fight is to take somebody else so quick that you're not even fighting for long. Right? So, being a spiritual warrior, you have to learn to defuse a demon or defuse Satan as soon as they come up to you. Just like Yahawashi combated Satan on a scriptural tip. Now, I ain't going to sit there and say you quote scriptures at the person, right? You just start, yeah, John 15 and 29 and say in Acts 5 and 30, you ain't going to do that. But you live the scriptures. You apply the scriptures, you know? And what do I mean by that? Proverbs 15 and 1. It says, a soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stirreth up anger. So when you find yourselves in situations where you got an aggressor, right? Instead of partying with him, entangling with him, or entertaining the carnal demon, right? Just because you know you can fuck him up or tear him apart. It says a soft answer turneth away wrath. You disengage, right? I'm not saying don't be in defense. Don't prepare for him to swing. But at the same time, you disengage, you defuse. Brother, it's not even that serious. It's not even that deep. I didn't mean that, you know? You just disengage. And usually people, it's 50-50%. People don't fight a person that's not a threat. But then you got the pussy niggas that they'll try to take advantage of a person that's not trying to fight. It's a 50-50%, but that's why you got to pray for discernment, right? In the same breath, a soft answer turneth away wrath. By you just taking things easy and not being aggressor, right? You could avoid a fight. You could avoid a situation. But grievous words stirreth up anger. It says a gentle answer deflects anger. We have to learn to deflect. But harsh words make tempers flare. We are not supposed to intensify. We're supposed to diffuse. The tongue of the wise uses knowledge aright, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness. The tongue of the wise make knowledge appealing, but the mouth of a fool bleaches out foolishness. So we're not supposed to just, say whatever comes to mind, or whatever you feeling, or what you truly want to say. Because we're supposed to diffuse, take off the edge. Let's look up the words. It says, reduce, lessen, diminish, lighten, relieve, ease, alleviate, moderate, mitigate, take the edge off, clear the air. That's what we're supposed to do. We are not supposed to hulk the fuck out, right? You get all Incredible Hulk, and now your anger is taking over. Your anger is on autopilot, and you in the back seat just looking like, damn, I should have avoided that. Damn, how could I have done things better? Because your ego was tested, or your pride was tested. Your manhood was tested, or whatever the hell you think. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 25, verse 26. A righteous man falleth down before the wicked is as a troubled fountain in a corrupt spring. If the godly give into the wicked, it's like polluting a fountain or muddying a spring, right? It goes to show you that, be not unequally yoked with unbelievers. You're not even supposed to bring yourself down to these people's levels, right? You're a god, right? You're a prince of the power. And you're, bringing yourself down to these beastie-like state to dance with beasts, to be like the beast. We're not like beasts. We're kings and priests. Now, I'm not saying kings and priests wasn't warriors, but in the same breath, the Lord didn't teach us to be physical warriors. He taught us to be spiritual warriors. So it says, if the godly give in to the wicked, meaning you let these spirits excite your spirit, you let these demons provoke your carnality, right? It is like polluting a fountain or muddying a spring. And that's all you're doing, is muddying your spirit. Now you feeling spiritually low. Now you need brothers to pray for you. Now you want brothers to forgive you and help you, whatever the case may be, right? It says, I'm going to wrap it up. Proverbs 15:18, a wrathful man stirreth up strife, but he that is slow to anger appeaseth strife. A hot-tempered person starts fights. A cool-tempered person stops them. For the hot-tempered brothers, you got to pray to be a cool-tempered brother. For a cool-tempered brother, you got to, sometimes stand up. It's a balance, You're not supposed to be too much of anything, right? Proverbs, no. Proverbs 15 and 18. It says, a wrathful man stirreth up strife, but he that is slow to anger appeaseth strife. Oh, I read that. Or the scripture sounds similar. Proverbs 14 and 29. He that is slow to wrath is of great understanding, but he that is hasty of spirit exalteth folly. People with understanding control their anger. And Satan is going to come when you're not on point, when you're not on guard, when you're not on your spiritual high horse. Satan's going to come when you feeling weak, or you frustrated, or you pissed off, or you've been drinking a lot. That's when Satan's going to come. Satan don't take no breaks. Satan's skill level is at 1,000. He's been in this game for years and made him an animal. He's been here since the creation, doing what he's been doing best. Deceiving, starting mischief, and all types of manners of evil. And he don't take no breaks. So when you're not on guard because you caught up on getting kicked out, or your boss is being a bastard of asshole, or your coworkers are being assholes, or you just lost your job, or you can't pay your bills, or you got problems with your woman, or you can't handle your liquor, Satan's right there like, yeah, right? Satan's on go mode because he deals with you when you're at your weakest. When you're not focusing on the Lord, Satan's right there. It says people with understanding control their anger. Hot temper shows great foolishness. I got two more. I'm going to wrap it up. Proverbs 16 and 32. He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city. Better to be patient than powerful. So it ain't all about what you can do. It ain't all about your skills. It ain't all about tearing Jake apart or Edomite apart, right? Or heathen apart, your co-workers apart, right? Some nigga in the world apart. It's not about that. Better to be patient than powerful. Better to have self-control than to conquer a city. So a person that has discipline or control over oneself's actions and reactions is better than somebody that can conquer a city. Excuse me. Last one. James chapter 4, verse 7. Submit yourselves, therefore, to the Most High. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. So humble yourselves before the Most High. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. You got to rebuke the tempter, man. You got to rebuke Satan, right? If a nigga come up to you with an unclean spirit, or you dealing with some, drunk nigga or drunk cracker, excuse me, drunk heathen, whatever the scenario may be, you still got to maintain your composure. You got to maintain your spirit. Remember, the Lord is long suffering. And we got to exercise the fruits of the spirits no matter the weather, right? Because this is not you only an Israelite, and you got to maintain the principles and the morality and the code and the wisdom. When you got the garment on, you got to maintain it even more when the garments are off. You got to maintain it more when you at work. You got to maintain it more when you in the world. Oh, real quick. Real quick. I'm going to wrap it up with this. Philippians 2:15. That ye may be blameless and harmless, the sons of the Most High, without rebuke, in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation, among whom ye shine as lights in the world, so that no one can criticize you. Nobody can say nothing about us, right? Because we conducted ourselves as men of the Lord, right? We conduct ourselves as lights of Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi, because you are a representation of Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi on earth. You're an ambassador of Yahawashi. So you have to conduct yourself in such manners. Everything Yahawashi did, you got to try to do to the best of your ability, right? Did Yahawashi fight back? If you could avoid whooping somebody's ass, avoid it. Right? Jake liked to use, but Yahawashi kicked over the tables and he whipped the people in the temple. That was, how many times did Yahawashi do that? Stop trying to use things to justify your carnality. Because a carnal mind is enmity with the Most High. Right? All right, you might whip somebody's ass once or twice. But if this is a pattern of you always getting into carnal situations, right? It's not the demons, it's you. So that no one can criticize you. Live clean, innocent lives as children of the Most High. We are supposed to be Yasharahla, princes of the power, right? We are not niggas and spicks and the niggas in the world. We don't live in that same energy mentality. That's black culture, right? That's westernized culture. I'm going to give you that same energy that you're giving me. We're supposed to give better energy. We're supposed to give the energy of Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi, and applying the wisdom. We're princes of the power. We're kings and priests. We're not niggas, man. It says, shining like bright lights in a world full of crooked and perverse people. So even amongst these heathens and these unbelievers and these niggas and our people, right? We supposed to be better than them. So the scripture says it right here, right? Let me pull it up. The scripture says it right here. Crooked, right? Bent or twisted out of a shape of a place. Here you go. Dishonest, illegal, criminal, illegal, unlawful, questionable, dubious, nefarious, dishonest, dishonorable, unscrumptious, unprincipled, immoral, untrustworthy, crafty, deceitful, shifty, Janus face, underhand, corrupt, swindling, fraudulent, shady, tricky, bent, dodgy. What's the opposite? Honest and law-abiding. So we are supposed to be lights amongst this. Everything you see right here. So what? You don't get no courtesy. So what? You don't get no honesty. So what? You don't get no respect. So what? You don't get no love, no fair treatment. So what? They wasn't given the light. You was. So what? You know, they got unclean spirits. So what? You got a clean spirit. That is Satan's job, to agitate you and take you out of your element. I know easier said than done. And I know some niggas deserve it. But that's not what the Lord set us here to do. Sent us here to do. We are sent to be fishers, and the time of hunting is at its appointed time. But it's not now. We have to be lights amongst, let's look up the word perverse. Perverse of a person or their actions, showing a deliberate or obstinate desire to behave in a way that is unreasonable, unacceptable, often in spite of the consequences. So this is what we have to be lights amongst this. Often in spite of consequences. Jake don't care about consequences and repercussions. Jake don't care if they die. No, you can see. Look at Jake in the world right now. They're murdering each other senselessly. They don't care if they live or they die. They can talk all that. We got to stop killing each other, but still committing adultery, still, you know, living immoral, unclean lives, eating abominable foods. Jake don't care. We're supposed to care because we was given the light. Look at that. Awkward, contrary, difficult, unreasonable, uncooperative, unhelpful, obstructive, disobliging, unaccommodating, troublesome, tiresome, annoying, vexatious, right? Disobedient, unmanageable, uncontrollable. Come on now. Contrary to expect the standard or practice. Come on. Come on, man. The scriptures say we must be lights. It says, shining like bright lights in a world of crooked and perverse people. Man, the Lord's will, I'll do a precept cut to this, man. Because we still got to behave ourselves opposite of how they behave themselves. If they behave themselves crooked, we got to behave ourselves straight. If they behave themselves perverse, we got to behave ourselves with accordance to the Most High. Right? And that's it, man. I pray and hope that you was edified. Right? I'm going to read that part again, man. In the midst of a crooked and perverse nation, among whom ye shine as lights in the world. We can't dim our lights because these niggas are dark, living in darkness. We got to continue to be examples as of men of the Lord, even amongst the darkness, man. Even though Jake triggers you, Jake arouses, antagonizes, harass. He does everything, they do everything in their power to make you be carnal, but we can't fall for it. I pray and hope that you was edified. I'm sorry for this being a long one. I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi, Wahara Kwadash. Till next time I say Shalom.